Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. Today we're going to make the Georgia quilt square, no scraps allowed. So if you want to make a cool block like this, please stay tuned. Just like we did for the last Georgia block, I like to start with a drawing. And so this is the drawing I use. I like to use lots of different colorways so that I can at least kind of get an idea of what it looks like before I sew blocks together. So the one that we're going to use is this one at the top here. And I've listed some notes there, but I won't go into big detail about what my notes say. It will help once you see the pattern coming together. Okay, now the way that I wanted to do this time was, instead of just using my scraps, I wanted to use some jelly rolls. So I ordered some jelly rolls from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I'll pull those up now. These are just what's left of them. This one was a Bella Solid in Hyacinth. And then I also got the Kona in purple. And so there's a lot of purple. Well, I used a lot of it, but this is what's left of the jelly roll. And then gray in the Kona as well. So let me show you how I put these together. The first technique that you're going to use to put one of these blocks together is strip piecing. And in this block, there are two sets of strip piecing. One is, it has the light on the outside and then gray and then purple. The other one is gray on the outside, then purple, then lavender. And your combination may be a little bit different depending on what you decide to do as far as your with your colorway. Okay, but these are the two that I came up with, and I'm going to hold my block up. And so these are for the top row, the very middle row, and the bottom row. So I just showed you what they look like before I cut them. Let me show you the back of one of them. I just pressed all the seam allowances to one side. So what you're going to do with that is, after you sew them all together and press them, you'll cut them, and I just cut them into 2.5 strips. So this is the lavender, gray, and purple. The lavender's on the outside, and here is the gray with the purple and lavender in the middle. All right, and so you're going to need, I need 2 of these for each block, and then just 1 of these. So next is our goose rows. So here's what I do to create goose rows. This is what I consider like a half goose block, because it's a rectangle with a triangle on one side of it. And the way I do this is I start with the lavender, and I put 2 lines on each one. I just draw this with a permanent marker. I put a line all the way down the center, and then a line 1/2 inch away from that line. That's how we start it. Then we take our rectangles, and I just use the right side, because you're going to have half of your blocks will have a triangle that points up, where the seam points up, and then half of them will have the seam pointing down. All right, so you see the difference. This one has the seam pointing up. This one has the seam pointing down. And each one of these per block, you're going to need 2. So the next step is to, you put it together like this. And I've already sewn on the seam lines here. And what you do is, after you sew it, you press the seam open. And then I'm going to go back and cut this other triangle off. I'm going to use my pinking shears right now, because my other scissors are somewhere else. Okay, and so you can see now that I have one with the seam going up, and then one with them going down. And to create one of these rows, what I would do is, I'm going to turn it. This is the way I do it. So I'm going to create a row. You're going to take a gray square and put it in the middle. Okay, so what you do is, I'm going to sew this square over to this lavender side, and then come back and sew it to this lavender side. Okay, so this is what your strips will look like, and you need 2 of these per block, and then I want you to think about each one of them as a top and a bottom. So now you see the top and bottom goose rows laid out. So here's the, this one has the seam that's pointing up, this one has the seam pointing down, and then the same unit is opposite. This one would be the seam pointing up, and this one would be pointing down. And the reason that you need to lay them out like this is so that when you press them, you can press them all to one side. In my case, I've pressed them all to the right. So the next thing you'll do is you will lay your block out. So I'm going to take one of my gray strip piece rows, and to make sure that the seams nest, you're going to turn these seams to the left. Then the lavender piece row, again with the seams toward the left, it goes in the middle. And then the other gray on the end rows, it goes at the bottom. Then you would just sew these together, and I'll show you that when I come right back. Here's my completed block. You can see it is super cute. I want to show you what it looks like when I lay all of these blocks out together and the cool secondary pattern it shows. So here's one. Uh-oh. And then here are a few more. 2. And then 3. Move your camera back. 3. And let's put one more. Okay, so you see that cool secondary pattern that forms those rings. So you can imagine what it'll look like when all of those blocks are together, how cool it's going to look. So I'm really excited about it. I'm ready to get to more sewing. So if you have any questions, please comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.